After using my MacBook Pro for 7 years, I've fallen in love with PowerBook style laptops. I really admire how portable they are without compromising much on internals, but unfortunately, as Chris subtly hinted at in our last video, it's a little worse for wear. So, about a week or two ago, I picked up one of the new Razer Blade RTX advanced models to finally put my MacBook to rest. Today I'll be explaining what the Blade has to offer and giving my first impressions of it. And as always, welcome to Top Spec. I'm Aaron. This video is going to get pretty technical, so strap in. The Razer Blade laptop lineup can get a little bit confusing, so I'm going to explain that really quickly first. There's the Blade Stealth, the Blade, and the Blade Pro. Their screen sizes are 13 inches, 15 inches, and 17 inches respectively, and the power generally increases as you go from model to model, though the different configurations definitely make exceptions to that. Then for the Blade itself, there's last year's base model and this year's advanced model, and as that name implies, it's a more powerful and refined version of last year's computer. So now that you understand what we're working with, let's talk presentation. Immediately upon opening the box, you're welcomed to the cult of Razer. So they're pretty confident that you're going to pay that price premium just for that slick serpent logo. So that being said, this won't be the first time in this video that you hear me say that their approach reminds me a little bit of Apple's.
Shut up, Apple makes amazing.
Let me finish talking. I have to give it to them. The unboxing experience is pretty slick. I get those Apple vibes just from the premium packaging, and you can immediately tell that this isn't some sub $700 gamer-y laptop. Anyways, within the smaller box, you get the metal power adapter with a very nice braided cable, and within the larger box, you get the Blade itself. The specs are where the advanced model gets interesting. While it's only 0.7 inches thick and 4.5 pounds, it has an 8th generation Coffee Lake Intel i7-8750H with 6 cores and 12 threads, a base of 2.2 GHz, and a max turbo 4.1. Also, it has an RTX 2060, which will be the selling point to a lot of people. While most games and applications other than Battlefield 5 don't support the ray tracing functionality that the RTX graphics card line is advertised for, it's certainly nice for future-proofing. Links to the benchmarks in the description, but trust me, this should be more than enough for most things. When I ran TimeSpy, I got a solid score of 5455, and that's pretty impressive for how thin this laptop is. Also, it has 500 gigabytes of solid-state storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM, which should be more than enough for most people. Personally, I've been playing a lot of Apex Legends on the Blade as of recently, and it does an amazing job at max settings. Speaking of Apex, we actually did a video on how to improve screen tearing and lag on Monday, so if that's your thing, click the card in the upper right hand corner. You get one Thunderbolt 3 port, 3 HDMI 3.1s, an HDMI 2.0B, mini DisplayPort 1.4, 230 watt power, and a headphone jack. It definitely has everything that I could ask for other than an SD card reader, though this laptop is being more advertised for gamers rather than creators, so I can understand their decision to leave it out. As for the Thunderbolt port, while there's only one, I'd call it a better decision to use a single port versus making it the entirety of your I/O, since the majority of devices still only use a traditional USB connector. MacBook.
I swear to God.
Now the keyboard. I absolutely love it. The keys are low profile but still semi-clicky, the lighting is super customizable and works amazing in the dark, and really the only criticism that I can give it is that the right shift key is a little bit shorter than normal. Also, for the advanced model, they've added lighting for the secondary functions on keys, which works great in the dark and is a plus. Next, the display. It's so crisp. I've personally never used a 144Hz display before, so the responsiveness is crazy, and that goes beyond games. Typing and navigating using the mouse is so snappy, so I'm sold on it. Also, not to mention that it's color accurate, 1080p, has thin bezels, and is just solid overall. Only problem here is that the display does not fold out to a full 180 degrees, though this hasn't been an issue for me so far at all. At the top of the display, you have a pretty average laptop camera alongside Windows Hello, a welcomed addition. I'm not personally 100% sold on Windows Hello since it hasn't worked perfect for me in the dark, though it's pretty nice that they put it on. The speakers are decent. I do wish that they could be ever so slightly louder, but the sound quality overall is pretty good. The power button is placed at the very top of the right speaker, which is a little bit abnormal for laptops, though I think that the placement's actually pretty smart. Next, here's something that I would call a legitimate concern of mine. This thing is an absolute fingerprint magnet. Like, seriously. I'm all for cleaning laptops, but this thing picks up fingerprints abnormally fast, especially for being a neutral color like black. However, I feel as though I can look past this because this is a very robustly built computer, and it's gonna last me a long time. Overall, this laptop is definitely on the more pricey side, but you pay for what you get. I really don't think that you can go wrong with either last year's base model or this year's advanced RTX model. It's really just a matter of which price and features are most appealing to you. My consensus is that when you're buying a laptop, if power and polish are the most important things for you, you really can't go wrong with any of the RTX series of laptops. If this video was helpful to you in any capacity, make sure to give it a like. We upload weekly tech content, so if that's appealing to you, make sure to subscribe. But for now, see you next week.